Good evening. Welcome to the show. Let me get this straight. A police officer is murdered, ambushed while sitting in her police car. And for some reason, we hardly see a peep of it on the news. You have to do digging to learn about who her murderers are. The news doesn't tell you who they are. And ironically, a lot of the comments that are typically seen, the negative ones, when police officers are murdered, for some reason, those comments were not really being put out there. Officer Keona Holley was shot multiple times while sitting in her patrol car. And she was only an officer for 2 years. She became a police officer, mother of 4. She became a police officer for the city of Baltimore because she wanted to make a difference. She wanted to make a difference in policing in her community. And now this mother of 4 children is gone. Last week, she was ambushed while sitting in her police car. Shot multiple times. She was on life support for the last week. However, the prognosis was not good, and her family decided to remove her from life support today. Officer Holley wasn't just a mother of 4. She herself was a daughter to a mother who will never see her again. She was a sister to siblings that will never see her again. And she was actually a member of our society that rather than sitting at home on her ass, collecting unemployment, doing nothing, she decided, with 4 children, to go to the police academy and then take a job as a police officer, making next to nothing in a city that is riddled with crime, because she wanted to make a difference in her community. Those are the people who should be called heroes. Those are the people who should be on the t-shirts of athletes and celebrities. Keona Holley should have her name on the sneakers and the jerseys of NBA players. People should be holding signs saying, "Say her name." But for some reason, nobody's saying a word. We don't have politicians demanding justice. We don't have celebrities tweeting about this grave injustice. We don't have the women on The View even talking about this murder of a police officer. You don't have the hacks on networks like CNN even mentioning that a mother of 4 who put everything else aside to serve her community, to make it better, to create change. Because you can complain about the issues or you could do something about it. And here she was doing something about it, sacrificing her own life to do something about it. Unlike these celebrities and these other talking heads, they just talk about what needs to be done, but they never do it. And if you ask them to do anything, they'll look around and they'll say, oh, wait, well, I wasn't talking about me. I'm talking about all of you. All of you need to change. LeBron James, always so outspoken about the police. Because we know how much training and experience he has as a police officer. Well, he said nothing about the death of Officer Keona Holley. Not that it matters, but I'm going to tell you why. We didn't see any of the negative talk that you usually see around a police officer being murdered. Because, you know, I see a lot of the law enforcement pages out there, when they post an officer that died, killed in the line of duty, you always see a few trolls who will comment, F the police, F12. They'll put the letters ACAB. All cops are bastards. But it's funny, because I saw all those police pages posting about Officer Keona Holley after she got shot and today coming off life support. Her family losing her. It's funny. Didn't see those comments. Is it because Officer Keona Holley is a black female? And these cowards are too scared to make comments like that about a black female police officer? If it's a white male officer or a white female officer, the comments fly. The pig deserved it. Cops are the KKK disguised. All the craziness that you hear from the mentally ill. They abuse their power. They're Nazis in badges. All that stuff. Deserved it. Good. But it's funny. It's funny. I didn't see any of those comments on the posts about the death of Officer Keona Holley. Because these cowards that are so anti-police and anti-law enforcement, and subsequently anti-law and order, we'll get into that in a second, they're all talk, but they're too scared. They're too scared to make a comment like that when the officer is a black female. They're cowards. No. Not then. They won't then. Nothing will be said. Nothing will be done. No athletes will have her name anywhere on their body, on a shirt, on their shoes, on their cleats. Nothing. There will be no moment of silence at any sporting event. There will be no politicians taking a knee anywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if not a single politician reached out to her family. Because you know the president didn't. The president did reach out to Representative Scanlon in Pennsylvania. That's right. A white female who voted to replace the police with mental health professionals. Well, after she voted to replace the police with mental health professionals, she just got carjacked at gunpoint. And afterwards, she thanked the police for their swift response. And President Biden reached out to see how she was doing after that traumatic event and vowed to be tougher on gun control because they held her up at gunpoint. However, the president didn't say a word to the family of a black female officer murdered in her police car, trying to make her community and policing in general better. How come he didn't make the call to her family offering condolences and saying he wants to get tougher on gun control? So the white female politician that gets held up at gunpoint, not shot, but just held up at gunpoint and gets carjacked in a city where she voted for less police, she gets the call. She gets the call and says we're going to get tougher on gun control. But the black female officer who gets shot and killed in her police car, no phone call. No, we're going to get tougher on gun control. Nothing. Does that make any sense to anybody watching this right now? Because if it doesn't make sense to you, and that doesn't sit right with you, you might be one of the few people left with a brain. So my condolences go out to the family of Officer Keona Holley. My prayers go out to her 4 children who now will have to grow up without a mother. To a family that lost a daughter, a sister, and to a community who lost a hero. Because no one else will say her name and wear her face on its shirt and wear her name on their clothing or their shoes, I'll say it. Officer Keona Holley, police officer, mother, and hero. And all those who have ignored this story and have ignored to say her name should be ashamed. Should absolutely be ashamed. All of you that have failed to acknowledge her murder are absolutely disgusting. Now, some have said, well, maybe it's because of who did it. Well, fortunately, we have that for you. These 2 men, they're who did it. They murdered a police officer and a mother of 4 young children. Those 2 men. Now, people have their opinions on why no one's really talking about the fact that those 2 men killed Officer Holley. But here's what we do know. There has been a deafening silence from Black Lives Matter and anyone on that side of the front. So let me get this straight. A career criminal can get killed, and there's riots, there's burning, there's looting, there's billions of dollars in destruction. Someone can fight with the police, try to take their gun, try to take their taser, all kinds of craziness. And if that person ends up getting shot, there's parades, there's this, there's that, there's athletes, there's politicians. There's all this stuff. And Black Lives Matter is right there. At the forefront. Flying the flag. However, a black mother of 4 is murdered while sitting in her patrol car by 2 black men. And we have radio silence. I mean, I guess the good thing is there's no burning, there's no looting, there's no destruction, there's no billions of dollars in damage. But why is that? Why is that? 2 black people are killed, shot, but one gets a very different response from the media, from politicians, from athletes, from celebrities, and the other gets nothing. Both Americans, both have black skin. Both murdered. One, life of crime. Many victims terrorizing his own neighborhood for years. Violently. The other, a mom looking to make a difference. Maybe trying to get a better life for her children. Make a difference in police work and the profession as a whole. New York City just appointed first black female commissioner. Incredible accomplishment by a phenomenal officer with quite the list of accomplishments. That could have been Keona Holley, who says she couldn't have made it to the top of the Baltimore Police Department. Very well could have. Across this country, we see so many incredible black women who are lieutenants, captains, and chiefs of police of major police agencies. And Keona Holley could have been one of them. But we'll never know. We'll never know because these 2 men decided to murder her. Now, a lot of people talk a lot of stuff about opportunity. And I see incredibly strong, intelligent black women making it to the top of their police departments. That doesn't look like a country that holds down people of color. Now, mind you, we have some extremely powerful black female politicians in this country. We have some extremely powerful black female prosecutors, judges. All very well accomplished. Many voted on by their peers to get to where they are. But in some of these same cities where you have a black female mayor, black female prosecutor, black female police chief, black female senator, You have people holding signs saying injustice, injustice, inequality. And they're saying the system is broken. The system is broken. The system that has black leadership from the bottom all the way to the top is broken. Think about that for a second. Ask yourself if that makes any sense. To say, in a city, a major U.S. city, where starting from the police chief all the way through prosecutor, judge, mayor, senator, representatives, all black. Hardworking, intelligent folks making it to those positions. And in those same cities, crime is rampant and people are saying there's injustice here. The system is broken. Well, who is the system? In those cities, I just told you who's running the system, who's running the show. So if the system is broken in these cities, who are you pointing the finger at? Is there something in the ether that is causing all this? Because I know when you own a company, if there are breakdowns in the company, right? We've all seen it. Some company has some employee that does something wrong, and everyone's like, the CEO needs to go. We see it in colleges. Some professor says something crazy. The president of the college needs to go. We've all seen it. It must be their fault. The buck stops with them. But when we have these cities with these horrible incidents occurring, you don't see anyone saying, hey, hold on. Wait, hold on. The police chief, black male or black female, they need to go. Prosecutor, black, they need to go. Mayor, black, they need to go. Senator, black, they need to go. You don't see any of that happening. You just see the cries of inequality, injustice, and the system is broken, but no one goes. They all stay. They all made it there somehow. In this extremely racist place. Somehow, despite this overwhelming amount of racism, so overwhelming that black people have to pay thousands of dollars to other black people to coordinate a hate crime against them. There's so much racism that you have to do that. And there's so much racism that you could have a black chief, black mayor, black everything running a whole city, all the way up to senator on the state side. It's kind of odd. No? I don't know. If you're going to say the system's broken and the system is comprised of what I just shared with you, I don't know. I'm not sure. Who's at fault? What's broken? These are delicious, by the way. Bubbly. Not a sponsor. But then you look at a city like Philadelphia. City like Philadelphia. Incredible. Incredible. Where you have politicians, in this case, white politicians. I'm just, for the record, stating that. Mary Scanlon. Philadelphia has such incredible amounts of crime and murder that most people don't realize. When you look at per capita, Philadelphia is actually worse than Chicago. Everyone's like, Chicago, Chicago. Philadelphia is worse. Look at the numbers. Philadelphia is worse. That said, here we have Representative Mary Scanlon. Voted to replace the police with mental health professionals. And as stated, she just got carjacked at gunpoint. So, when a woman like this votes for less police and having the police replaced with mental health professionals, and crime skyrockets, and for the most part, except in this situation, people of color are suffering. I mean, you look at the murders in Philadelphia, most of the people getting murdered are black people, black children, babies, black babies. Look it up. But no one's pointing the finger at the actions of this woman, who happens to be white, to say, hey, wait a second, the system is broken, and you're part of the system. We don't think this is helping us. It's actually hurting us. Look at the murder numbers. They're proof. How many children have been murdered? How many babies have been shot by stray bullets? How many mothers, fathers have been killed? Some in broad daylight. But no one points the finger at Representative Scanlon. No one says anything when all the people are being murdered based on policies that people like her are voting on. Less police, more crime. It's not my opinion, folks. It's the facts. You can look it up. And, not my opinion again, it's the facts. The people who suffer most from that are people of color, black and brown. Is anyone going to say anything to her? No, nothing is said to her until she gets held up at gunpoint and carjacked in broad daylight. Then and only then does the president reach out to her. Hey, how you doing? We're going to get tougher on gun control. Has nothing to do with the fact that you've taken away funding from the police and you're voting for less police and more mental health professionals. Has nothing to do with that, right? It's all about gun control. Listen, we're going to get gun control. Gun control. Like Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who, if you recall, we'll post the link because it's still there. These people think they go away, but they don't. But we'll post a link of when gun violence was so bad in Chicago and so many people were getting murdered. Children were getting murdered. Babies were getting shot. But so many people were getting murdered. Then President Trump offered to send in federal aid in the form of ATF agents to help the situation with illegal weapons in Chicago. And at that time, Mayor Lori Lightfoot declined it. She said, no, it's public. You can look it up. She declined it. And she said she didn't want, she had some derogatory name for the people in uniform and disguised. Terrorists, undercover terrorists coming into her city. Yesterday, same mayor, Lori Lightfoot, same city, Chicago, where people are just getting murdered right and left, requested federal aid from President Biden and is requesting the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms to send in undercover agents to help with the violent crime crisis in Chicago. The gun violence is out of control. We all know that. No one can deny that, except Representative Ocasio-Cortez, who denies that there's any crime going on in the country. So why, as mayor of one of the deadliest cities in the world, would you deny help when your people of your city, predominantly people of color, are getting murdered? You deny reinforcements to help stop that. But now you're requesting the very same people that you called undercover terrorists, you're requesting the same people to come into your city and help. Well, does anyone ask the question, had she accepted the help 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, when the former president offered it, how many lives, predominantly lives of color, could have been saved? How many children could have been saved? We don't know. Had she taken the help from the federal government then. But she didn't. And more people, men, women, and children, got murdered. And now she's saying, we need help. And I'll take the help from the current president. I didn't want to take it from the last president. I'll take it from this president. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care where you live. If that doesn't disgust you, there is something wrong with you as a human being. Because if you're putting politics before the lives of the people who voted you in, you're a disgusting human being and you should be absolutely embarrassed. It's an absolute disgrace. There's no other word for it. And that's how low we've gotten. That's how low we've gotten as a society. There's no more. People love to talk about Martin Luther King. Not by the color of my skin, the content of my character. Today, it's not even that. Today, it's not the color of your skin even. It's who you voted for. Who you voted for. That's how people judge you. It's in some cases whether you decided to go get some shot or not. That's how people judge you. Not the content of your character. Today, you could wear a uniform and by simply wearing that uniform and knowing nothing about the content of your character, people will judge you and call for your death, and in some cases, kill you. And it doesn't even matter if you have black skin and you're the mother of 4 young children. And you decided to become a police officer to change policing and help your community. That content of your character, no, that doesn't matter anymore. Doesn't matter. You're now judged on completely obscure things that people, by their own opinion, have deemed more important. Content of character is no longer important, no longer valid. Anyone who says they're a supporter of Martin Luther King and proponent of his words, yet is living that life, you're a phony, you're a fraud. And Dr. King would say that to your face. And remember that. Remember that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when we as a nation are very far from where we are today. Remember that. Remember how you treated people. Not based on the content of their character, but on things like who they voted for and the clothing they wear every day to work. That's not going to age well. Believe me. Try these out. These are delicious. Remember, listen, wash your hands. Dr. Fauci said you got to uninvite people that are not vaccinated, and even if they are vaccinated, you probably shouldn't even get to just forget it. Just Christmas is canceled. New Year's Eve, forget it. Canceled. Don't even think about it. It's over. Just get one sparkler, sit by yourself with your sparkler, get one of those noisemakers, midnight, make some noise, not too much noise because you don't want to wake anyone up because most people are going to bed early. They're sanitizing their hands, they're putting their 4 masks on before they hit the pillow. So make sure you don't want to wake anyone up. So just, it's all, no, none of it. None of it. Don't do any of it. All right? Don't do any of it. Don't do any of it. People got to go to work the next day. Well, maybe not go to work, you know. Somehow, unemployment is sky high, yet the job market and people like can't find work. So like no one can find employees, yet unemployment is sky high. So restaurants can't find people to work and come in to even cook food, yet the unemployment rate is through the roof. How does that make sense? But anyway, just listen, it'll all get better. Just wash your hands, 4, maybe even 5 masks, whatever you need to do. And just keep on keeping on. That's all we could do. Until next time. Oh, by the way, we got these new jackets and pants in. You should check them out. Just saying.